Hi there, I'm Cheryl B. Engelhardt, and this is Key Conversations, a podcast where we talk about all the things to have you get excited about a fulfilling and sustainable music career. Today, we're going to take a little tangent down into the land of personal life, because in this time of quarantine, we may be quarantined alone or we may be quarantined with someone else. And I specifically want to talk to the people who are in a space with someone else, whether that's a partner, a spouse, or a roommate. I want to quick give a couple of context shifts and considerations, and then also share some tips that are making things work with me and my husband. We are normally long distance, so this is really different. We are fighting for control over certain things. We are bickering a lot. Spaces that are normally exclusively mine have now become his, so we are in a very different space than when he's normally traveling 6 months out of the year and I'm the one working from home in my studio, which is where I am right now. So we've been navigating this and trying to find the peace and the harmony during this crazy time. I think this is a really important conversation, especially if you're a musician who has a project going on and you are releasing a record or you are planning on pitching for licensing and you've got these big plans and you're taking this time right now to master your email list and do all these other things that are so important. And so you need to carve out that time and space in order to really be energetically and physically in a space where you can be productive and just keep rocking. So I wanted to take this time to talk to those people who are with someone else and need a little bit of a context shift. So the first thing that we want to remember is that we're not alone, meaning that, okay, we're clearly not alone. There's this other person is sharing 600 square feet with me, but we're also not alone globally. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, that whatever we're feeling, there's someone else out there that's probably feeling it, but it may not be the person we're sharing a space with. And for the purposes of this podcast, let's just call this person your partner, whether they're your roommate, your spouse, or someone else, or family member. So they're your partner in the quarantine. So it's really important to know that our frustrations, our stresses, our fears, the roller coaster of emotions that we're having, we are not alone in that we have these things going on. They may not be the same things that someone else has experienced, the same emotions, but we're all together in this global community dealing with this whole range of emotions. So there's a good chance that our partner is also feeling their own slew of emotions as well as the rest of the world. And that's just a good thing to kind of keep in the back of our minds, that we are not victim to this thing. This is not something that came and got us and is screwing us over. So that we can get that conversation out the door right now. So the second thing we want to note is that our partner is having a different experience than us. All these things that we said, we're talking about emotions and feelings, they're having different desires for connection, different kinds of motivation. Maybe they're having different levels of exhaustion than we are. It's very easy to judge our partner in how much energy they have or how ambitious they are. But what we really want to do is that we just want to acknowledge that our experiences are different, and that is okay. So that might even be something that you can say out loud. I'll get into a couple of things that I like to do every day, including check in and just acknowledge these things that feel really hard, but don't have to be. So the third thing that we want to kind of create together is, let's give our partner the benefit of the doubt. In short, let's assume that they're doing the best they can right now. Because honestly, isn't that how we want them to think of us? That we're doing the best we can, even if we're getting frustrated or we're lashing out faster than we normally would. Isn't it because we're trying to do the best that we can? So if we can have that compassion and put that in the back of our mind, it's going to be much easier to be empathetic, to put ourselves in their shoes, even if we think we know what their shoes feel and look like. We don't. So we can just assume that they're doing the best that they can, because we are doing the best that we can, right? So the fourth thing to consider is that sometimes we don't know what we need. So in any given moment, if we feel like we don't know what there is to ask or what we want, then there can be this overwhelming feeling of what's next. Like if we don't know exactly what tomorrow's going to look like, or even next week, it can be very disorienting. It can feel like we're lost. So when we find ourselves in that place, it's easy to go turn to someone who seems like they're found. But when our partner is experiencing something similar, they may not be available to us emotionally to support us in the way that we need. So this can lead to blame and upsets and fights. And we want to put a wedge in this pattern. When I say wedge, I mean like, how can we break the pattern of you feeling lost, looking to your partner to sort of complete you, right? And they're not able to do that at the moment. How can we, instead of turning that into an upset, actually shift that and acknowledge what's going on and say, I feel lost, and that's okay. And in saying that, you're the person that's actually seeing you. You don't need someone else to see you and acknowledge you and to give you what you need. You can be the person that does that. I focus a lot of my meditations at IamALuminary.com, which is my mindfulness record is Luminary, and I created a website for resources just like this. The whole source, the whole point of the whole website and the whole record is being the source of your own happiness, your own light, which is the definition of luminary. So this is really important when you're living with someone else and you want them to sort of do things for you that maybe your girlfriends used to do, but your husband cannot. Or maybe it's something your other friends can do. Or maybe you got something out of your co-working interactions and you're looking for your partner to provide that for you, but that's not their role, right? So we just want to remember that we can be the ones that see ourselves. So next thing we want to think about is how we're spending our time. I said this before, but it's easy to judge someone on how they're spending their time. Like, are you really motivated in starting all these projects and reading all these books and they are catching up on Netflix? I just want to say that there are a lot of ways to accomplish different goals, and we may not even know what their goal is, and they may not have one, and that's okay. We have to respect where everyone is at this moment and the choices they're choosing how to spend their time. We can respect that without judgment, because that's honestly how we want to be treated too, right? We want to not be judged for having a glass of wine in the bath or 3 times a day. Just kidding. Or whatever it is. You want to know that whatever your choices are, we trust that they're making good choices so that they trust us that we're making good choices for what we need in the moment. The last thing I want to remind you to remember how you chose this person in the first place. Was there something that brought you two together? Was it love? Was it attraction? Was it laughing together? Was it a great work experience? Was it Craigslist? I mean, still, there is something worth remembering. So whip out that old photo book, walk down memory lane if you have to. So those are the different contexts I wanted to throw out there, different ways of thinking of spending some time with this person that you are now spending a ton of time with, probably. So here are a couple of practices I wanted to sort of share with you that I've been trying to put in place with my husband and to implement daily and to make our time together really intentional and fulfilling. So a couple things, conversationally, anytime you want to speak, meaning you want to complain or make requests, try to come from a place of your feelings rather than you're not doing enough. If you are using sentences with I and we rather than you, you're going to have much better conversations. There's going to be a lot less blaming and finger pointing. See if you can keep your complaints and requests to a minimum. I'm a fan of ask-free days, meaning we go throughout the whole day without asking the other person to do something or to not do something. So that's really important. The other thing I really, really encourage you is to find your own space, both physically and throughout the day in terms of time. Physically, even if this is just your own yoga mat or the inside of your refrigerator, have a space that's just yours where you can go and just know that that energetically is yours. Throughout the day, I think it's really great to have a schedule of some sort, like maybe you're creating specific time to come together and then time to be apart. So maybe meals is when you come together and then you spend time to be apart to do whatever it is you want to do, whether it's work or reading or relaxing. It will help your sense of autonomy and also take pressure away from having to spend 100% of the day together. I'm a big fan of creating structure, whether it's just a morning routine or a daily schedule or a focus word for each day of the week. For example, Mondays are clear and Tuesdays are creative days. I think this is really important for you both to be on the same page, even if you have a different schedule or a different context for the week than your partner does. If you are in my monthly mastermind, In the Key Elite, you can go to inthekey.co/elite to join this. We are meeting every single weekday now, not just monthly. And we are taking on a word of the day every day of the week. in combating this crazy coronavirus craze. And Mondays are clear, Tuesdays are create, Wednesdays are collect, which means something very specific. Same with Thursdays, which is campaign, and Fridays is connect. So it's really great to know that you have a focus for the day, and anything that you have to get done throughout the week can fall into one of these 5 categories. Lastly, I want to tell you to set some time aside each day to check in with each other. I said this already, but what this looks like is getting vulnerable, meaning share your feelings without the worry of being judged. So if you want some structure, set a timer for 2 minutes each, 1 minute in between, so that you can repeat back the main things you heard your partner say. Okay, so last thing I want to do is just a couple laser ideas that I've really been loving doing. One is taking walks whenever possible, implementing some cuddle time. We try not to disappear into our phones, and we share silly memes and GIFs and any YouTube videos that one of us is looking at, we'll share with the other person. We do one thing a day that the other person wasn't expecting, like cleaning the dishes that weren't mine or making the bed when it wasn't my turn. Also, I've been trying to practice taking a breath and counting to 5 when I feel tension rising, so you can put that into practice as well. Letting go the need to control everything. That is a big one for me. I'm just working on letting it go, pulling a Frozen. We started meditating together. We did a yoga class together, which is really great to do online. We've been baking together, which I'm not great at, but that's okay. And going on double dates with our other couples and friends of ours on Zoom has been really, really fun. I really try to make eye contact at least 5 times a day and just kind of come from a place of we're in this together. So I would start with one practice. Take on one of these things. I know I packed a lot in here, but take on one thing and come back and listen to this anytime you need, and then pick another practice and implement each time. If you want some more calming, peaceful meditations and music, go to IamAluminary.com. There will also soon be, if they're not already, access to yoga classes and other resources for providing some calm and source of light in your life. Thank you so much for being here. See you next time.